You're very welcome to your weekly GA show with Lorna Páirce here on WLR. It's Tomás McCarthy here till 7 o'clock, and hope you're all keeping safe and well. Well, coming up on today's show, former Déise attacker Michelle Ryan on a new home for Waterford ladies football. Former GA president Nicky Brennan will talk Kilkenny hurling and Brian Cody. And we'll also hear from new Waterford Camogie manager Derek Lyons. So ladies football is coming home. The Waterford LGFA are the proud owners of a new county ground in Dungarvan. Work will start on an 11-acre site this summer and is set to be completed by 2023. The new facility will feature a state-of-the-art pitch, spectator stand, changing rooms, coach and car park and a 6-lane running track around the perimeter of the pitch. So exciting times ahead. And to talk about this and what 2021 might hold for Waterford ladies football, delighted to be joined on the line by former Déise forward Michelle Ryan. And I suppose, first of all, Michelle, how significant is this development for Waterford ladies football?
This is a massive development, to be honest, Tomás. It's brand new for us, but also for, I suppose, ladies football in general across the country to be venturing out like this. And it is such a positive development that it's just, I think that's the reason there's so much excitement and so much goodwill around regarding it, because we in Waterford, like every other county around the country in ladies football, are so dependent on the GA facilities that are there, and they are always willingly made available to us, which is fantastic, absolutely great, and we're always very grateful for that. But as well as that, I suppose it does mean that when it comes to scheduling our matches and our trainings, that we're very much dependent on the men's schedule as to when certain things can take place. And that can be frustrating at times. And also, look, in this day and age, we want to keep moving forward and developing our game and our product and our players especially. So doing this and allowing ourselves to actually create a centre for ourselves, a base for ourselves, can only but help the developments. And like at the end of the day, in county, even with county teams and underage county teams, ladies footballers can sometimes, when you're trying to make out your schedule for weeks and months, training sessions can be held in various areas of the county. You could be going from Ballinmacarby Club Grounds or Ballyduff Upper Club Grounds down to Kilmac or down to the city, at times, and there's no real base, and that's the way it has operated. It's in fairness to the managers that have been there before, they've really made things work, and a lot of them have really tried to create training bases for us so that most of our trainings would take place in. But something like this just removes that problem that might have existed there before and creates this base, and localize it and making it available in the centre of the county, I know, was one of the committee's top priority, because the clubs are so widespread around the county. So it's in a fantastic location just outside Dungarvan, right beside the Déise Greenway, on the way out there to Ballin Road. And look, it's exciting times. They are, ambitious plans, and the huge work that has been done by the committee and the support we've gotten as well from our fantastic sponsors in Al Ella Stud have allowed us to make this fantastic announcement, and we're looking forward to the work getting started this summer.
Yeah, and during your own playing days, Michelle, you served the Waterford seniors for 19 seasons. Was that uncertainty around venues for both training and matches a big issue for both yourself and your teammates as well?
Well, look, to be honest, when you started out, it was just the norm, and that was just the way it is. You got to a stage there then when it would get quite frustrating, where, due to weather or due to certain things coming up, that this venue might have to be changed for a training session at the last minute, and you'd be waiting on a text message as to where it might be. And that wasn't too bad in my personal case, because generally most of the time I spent I was localized around the Waterford county, apart from maybe college and 1 year in France. I wasn't going to be traveling home from France, but a lot of the girls would have been, some would have been up in Limerick, or some would have been coming from Dublin and Cork and places like that. And those kind of last minute changes obviously impacted on what time they would be arriving, or what time, or maybe their preparation for training, which wouldn't have been ideal, But in that sense, it couldn't really be helped at the same time. Now, I have to say, we'll say maybe when we went back down to intermediate, a lot more of our trainings were probably tried to be based around the Dungarvan area. And generally it would have been, in the clubs around the Dungarvan town that we would have been making huge use out of. And at times, in fairness, there was a lot of times Fairfield was made available to us as well for a lot of training sessions. And, especially I suppose in the 2015, 2016, 17 era there, when it was available, it was made available to us, which is fantastic. But yes, there definitely would have been that uncertainty, and it would have impacted, I suppose, getting to training or people's organisation for training. And look, I think it became a little bit more unacceptable as we moved on. And thankfully, with plans like this, that shouldn't become an issue anymore.
Yeah, do you think having this facility in place, Michelle, will attract more girls to the game of ladies football?
I think it will, Tomas. And I think that's, as well as facilitating the improvements of training for our county teams, underage and adults, I think that is one of the key areas. And that is one of the main aims of this entire thing. Because at the end of the day, this will provide a place where young girls can, first of all, even just come and see the best ladies footballers that are there in the county training and playing matches, and they'll know exactly where they're going to be. And also as well, it's a facility where, county finals of ourselves can take place, and they can actually play in the same venue and play in the same area. And it just, we're talking about the overall development of the player, not just of the players we have now, but of the players that are coming through and the players that we haven't even seen yet. There aren't even, there yet, the players of the future, and creating a base for them so that they can actually aspire to actually be playing there, aspire to be training there, and aspire to be playing with Waterford in the future.
And I suppose the issue of facilities in ladies football is a very hot topic at the moment, Michelle, especially after the All-Ireland semi-final when Cork and Galway was switched from Parnell Park to Croke Park at very short notice. The teams had very little time to warm up. TG Carr weren't able to broadcast the game. I suppose the argument was made after the game that, maybe the LGFA should start to become under the GAA umbrella and the GAA banner. Where do you stand on that whole debate at the moment?
Yeah, look, we all know that the incidents of the semi-final were very regrettable and very disappointing for all involved. And I myself was actually in Parnell Park with TG Carr that day. We were set up to televise, and obviously word came through quite late that the game had been changed, and we were unable to. I mean, it's not as simply just get in the cars and move to Croke Park. As you know yourself, Tomas, when it comes to media and things like that, there's a whole lot of organisation that goes in beforehand and setting up these things and rigging these things, and that's hours of preparation before we even arrive there. So it wasn't ever going to be possible to move directly to Croke Park within an hour and a half's notice. So look, yes, it was incredibly disappointing. Now, what I would say is it did open up, obviously, a very meaningful and probably needed discussion on the whole issue, and not just within ladies football circles, but within all circles. And the GPA and the WGPA obviously came out then with a very compelling statement in the sense that they want the organisation to merge, and they want their organisations to merge, which, I mean, you would think then that the national organisations in both GAA, ladies football and camogie, that would be a signal then that, the whole thing needs to be re-examined and discussed. To be honest, I do think at the end of the day, we are fundamentally playing the same games. Now, I know there are some basic rule differences and things like that, but the heritage of what we're playing is the same. We all support each other. It's a GAA family, and I know sometimes, the word GAA is thrown out there when you're talking about ladies football and camogie, and some people maybe, might take offence to that sometimes, even in some circles, but it is all coming from the one. So I do think moving forward, it is something that needs to happen, but I would also be very cautious in that, the discussions that need to be had around that merger would have to be very thorough. I think there would have to be some specific conditions laid out as to how the organisations would operate as one. And I think that it would be very important. I mean, just because I can speak about the ladies football having been involved, that I think the ladies football have done some fantastic work with regards to the promotion of the game, some of their initiatives, the partners they brought in, which have absolutely, brought the game forward, both in a financial sense and also in a media sense. And I think that it would be really crucial that a lot of those good things are not lost and things don't get lost in the mix and swallowed up. So I think, yes, it is something that needs to happen, but with a lot of thorough discussion, so that the identity of each association and the progress that has been made by each association isn't lost in doing that.
In terms of matters on the field, Michelle, looking ahead to 2021, Waterford are still in Division 1 of the National League. In terms of the Championship, Waterford were very unlucky to lose out to Dublin by 4 points in a very tight game in Baltinglass. What are your hopes for the team for 2021?
Yeah, look, and I suppose that was the thing about this championship this year. Obviously, we've all talked about the strange times that it was and the time of the year that it was, and it was so unique in the sense that every game really had a massive impact. Waterford definitely were drawn in quite a tough group, but I have to say now, really put the challenge to Donegal and to Dublin in that group. And I have to say, I think they perform very, very well. And having spoken to even some of the Dublin girls since then, they would absolutely agree that, Waterford are a very, very fast team, and they can pose other teams a lot of difficulties when they move fast and when they move the ball fast. I thought they gave a good account of themselves in the 2020 season. I think there's a lot of positives to be taken now going into the 2021 season. And we have to take into consideration as well that, there were a lot of key players missing in the 2020 campaign as well. And the question for me would be whether or not that those players would be back in action for Waterford this year, because, they bring a huge amount of experience, a huge amount of talent. The likes of Caoimhe McGrath, who is an absolutely one of the probably most talented players that I have to say I've played with, because she's so versatile. We know her as a dual player, and I suppose her commitment to the game and her commitments to camogie and football is absolutely immense. She's an absolute out and out athlete altogether. So whether she'll be back in the folds. Maria Delahunty didn't play in the 2020 season. She's probably one of the best kickers, most natural kickers as a ball I've ever seen. She's the girl as well who really has brought it back into ladies football, kicking frees from the ground and 45s from the ground. She's just incredibly talented. Whether she'll be back in the fold. Megan Dunford suffered a bad shoulder injury during the 2020 season and was only kind of coming back into full form there as the championship was happening. So there were a few players there, and that it's, I suppose, question marks over whether they'll be there. And if they are there, I think they will only just add to some of the progress that was made there in the 2020 season. And the good thing to say is that Waterford have been competitive in the senior ranks. They really have. They've been putting it up, and I do see that continuing. I really do. There's a really talented and there's still a young bunch of players there who have the ability to trouble any team on any given day.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, they were very competitive in league and championship last year, and some of the games just didn't go their way. In terms of some players to watch for the new season, Michelle, it was really kind of a new look. Waterford outfit last year, the likes of, Rosie Landers, Kellyanne Hogan, Chloe Fennell, they've really come through over the past couple of seasons and are becoming leaders in this team.
They are. They really are. And when it's mad when you think about it. The likes that you mentioned there, Rosie Landers and Kellyanne Hogan. Those two girls were very new to the panel only 2 or 3 years ago. To take over as the number one goalkeeper in any senior adult inter-county team is a hugely daunting task. And for a girl so young to step into that so capably and so confidently, it's just a tribute to her, to be honest. She's a fantastic shot stopper and a great presence in there. As well as that, Kellyanne Hogan. Kellyanne Hogan is an absolutely fantastically talented footballer. I get to witness her playing club football as well as having played county with her. I've seen her playing schools football as well. She plays with Loretto Clonmel, who have competed in a good few senior A All-Ireland finals as well. She is incredibly talented and is as talented as there is out there, to be honest. She's incredibly natural, very skillful. And they have kind of seamlessly merged into the team. So there's a lovely balance there with the likes of them. And then you have the experience of, Karen McGrath is, I don't know what I can say about Karen McGrath. She is probably one of the best readers of a game that there is out there. Incredible athlete. And she just brings on the players that are around her. She's a leader both in the dressing room and on the field. And and can relate to absolutely everybody in the panel, which makes her an even better leader. So when you have the likes of the young girls coming in, seamlessly merging with the likes of Karen McGrath and the likes of Emma Murray and Mairead Wall, who's obviously playing with a very long time as well. It just bodes well for them going forward, and there is a good atmosphere, and I have to say there really has, and when I left the setup it was exactly the same, a good atmosphere in any dressing room and in any training. Just, it brings everybody on, because you have to be a unit, you have to be getting on well and doing things for each other in order for things to succeed. So look, I think they have the fantastic talent there, and as I said, it's about making sure all the best footballers in the county are now available to them coming into the 2021 season.
Yeah, plenty to look forward to for a new year for Kieran Curran's Chargers. And just a final point, Michelle, some sad news in ladies football circles last week with the passing of the late 10-time All-Ireland winning manager with Cork Ladies, Eamon Ryan. Did you have any encounters with him over the years?
If by encounters means I was on the opposing side many a time. Yeah, look, I mean, what can you say about Eamon Ryan? He's a man and that everybody in ladies football circles would have had and still has the absolute utmost respect for. And I think as well, and I think a lot of people have said this, I didn't know him that well personally. As I said, I knew him as an opposing manager, and I would be friends with a lot of the Cork girls who would have played on the team, on his successful teams. But I did hear him speak once or twice, and a very, very down-to-earth, genuine man who you could actually just tell from even standing listening to him, his passion for the game. But also, as well as that, it was a no-nonsense kind of, not into the fancy stuff, not into people playing for themselves. It was very much do the basics right, push yourself. He had very little time for those who didn't do what they were supposed to do or didn't look after themselves or play for others on the team. And having spoken, as I said, to some of the Cork girls, a lot of the ones who would have been playing with him the whole way up along would have regarded him almost as a second father, because he was that figure. He cared about them as well as people, as well as developing them as footballers. And the legacy that he has left, not just in Cork but in ladies football, will forever be remembered, because I suppose it was a time, I mean, I remember when I was underage and when I was starting out playing ladies football, that when we were drawn against Cork, that we generally would have beaten them quite well, and it wouldn't have been considered a huge challenge. But by God, that changed around 2004 to 2005. And that's the time when Eamon Ryan came into the job and took over this team and created an atmosphere and a belief within them that they went on to become such a powerful force. And he drove that. He drove the standard of ladies football. He created a team that everybody in the country was aiming to aspire to be as good as and to beat. And they made it so difficult. They didn't just stay at one level. They kept pushing it higher and higher. So even there was times when people thought, we might have them, they were able to go that one step further. And there's no doubt that came from him. And they were as much playing for him as they were for themselves, as they were for Cork. And I mean, I think it was the last one that they won. I remember his reaction after the final whistle, because it was just pure joy and it was just pure, and the girls were celebrating with him on the sideline. And look, as I said, he was probably be remembered not just in ladies football terms, but as probably one of the best and most successful managers in Gaelic games, and rightfully so. Absolutely.
Eamon Ryan, definitely one of the good guys, and will definitely go down as one of the great GA managers. And Michelle Ryan, former Déise ladies footballer, thanks so much for your time today.
Thanks, Tomas.
Lorna Porca with Tomas McCarthy on WLR.